Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. We take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
The great Greg Cote mustache experiment has begun after learning last week that mustaches were back in. He is in baseball and elsewhere. I thought all of those mustaches in baseball were ironic. Greg Cote said, I want to grow a mustache. It's going to be hard for me. And we are 1 week in, and it is looking pathetic.
Yeah, my wife says that it's mustache-like on the outside.
Yes.
But in the middle, right under my nose, it's like it's not even growing.
It's growing from the outside in.
I know.
It's weird.
Crazy. Yeah.
Why does
Whiskers.
your voice sound that way? Are you tired from the playoff run, from the Panthers being on the cusp of winning the only real trophy in sports that matters?
Yes. Yes, on both counts. It is the only real trophy that matters. And yes, I'm a little tired. I'm under the weather. I'm battling for the show. I have a cold. I have bronchitis. I went to a walk-in emergency clinic yesterday and got a bunch of penicillin. So I'm fighting through it. I knew that I didn't want to miss this show, but I knew that I could not miss Game 5 tonight when they raised the Stanley Cup. So I had to take extreme measures. So I'm jacking up penicillin right now.
Jacking it.
Put it on the
man.
poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Can we all agree that the Stanley Cup trophy is the only noble trophy in sports to be won? Roy, you made a face when Greg Cote said, when the Panthers win the Cup. And this leads me to an argument I've been having off air with both Chris Cote and Mike Ryan, who I believe to be cowards. We have the ability to put up billboards in Edmonton. We got a rare, Mike doesn't agree that it's rare, but we were given an offer by billboard salesmen saying that we could get something up last night. Mike Ryan legitimately threatened to quit the company, and Chris Cote doesn't want the burden of this series being decided somehow by billboards we put up in Edmonton. Like, they are running so scared, up 3-1, running so scared of being on the wrong end of this joke because they're terrified of jinxing what's happening around here.
I'm not – this is devoid of tone. Please explain to me what's so funny about putting up billboards saying that the Panthers won before they actually won.
No, it's saying Greg Cote was right before he's actually right, when he's got the most wrong opinion I've ever heard in the history of this show.
That's debatable.
It's not – okay, you find it funny, and I guess it's subjective. I don't find that funny.
I do. And then again, my face on a billboard is just like a dream come true.
They're going to think that we bought it up 3-0 and we're just idiots.
That's right.
It makes us, the joke is now on us. If we win, joke on them. We lose, joke on us.
Chris, the joke's already on us because your dad has infuriated Canada with a dumb opinion.
No, because if we win, he can say he's right, even though he's clearly not. It's amazing.
It's not a dumb opinion, but as the star... As the star of the billboard, if the Cats win tonight, and I don't care what score I don't care if they win 5-4 and McOverrated scores 3 goals.
Awful.
If the Cats win in 5 games, and once again McDavid and McJesus is 0 for career on Stanley Cups, that billboard works, and I endorse it. I won't pay for it, but I do endorse it.
We agree with you.
That the billboard works in the event that they win. They have to win.
Yes,
I think it's a bizarre
agree.
self-own if you put them up before and you laugh and feel like you're getting one over at people not getting the nuance.
Yeah.
We look dumb.
We have to win.
And we look also we make the organization look classless, and I don't like that either.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Oh my
What?
God!
Excuse me.
I don't worry about
What's
that.
going
You gotta
on
be
here?
kidding! We've been
I
making
mean-
fun of sports for 20 years, and now this is the one we're serious on.
Yes.
This is the one that it's very important that we be serious
In
on.
Mike's defense and Chris's defense, I understand. Like, they're about to win a Stanley Cup. They don't want shenanigans getting in the way.
You wouldn't
They
be doing this.
They
if
don't
it were
want
the
it.
Heat.
They
You
don't
wouldn't be
want it.
doing this for the Heat because you have more respect for it. It's you cannot deny this.
That is not true. I did billboards
after
around the Heat.
something, and there was a beef. Like you don't jinx something before it happens.
I
You don't take
disagree.
a shot if you
No.
don't get punched in the mouth.
Early bird gets the worm on billboards. Everybody knows that. If you don't do it tonight, you're setting yourself up for McAfee doing it tomorrow before you, and then we're just copycats.
And he's going to do a billboard with me on it?
Exactly. I think it's
Maybe.
very possible
Yeah,
Pat McAfee
should.
puts up a billboard with Greg Cote that says Greg Cote was right. Then at the bottom, the Pat McAfee Show, and that's what we're opening ourselves up to if we don't do this right now.
I want to open ourselves up to every possibility here, including being on the wrong end of the joke.
Would you do this if it was the Dolphins?
I would do this if this scenario presented itself where Greg Cote had a ridiculous opinion. I tried to do it with the Bills. Billy ran for the hills on that one, too.
Well, no, that's not exactly true. They didn't want to take our money in Buffalo, which I think if we're in the billboard mood, I think in Buffalo we should put up a billboard that says the Dolphins will win the Super Bowl. Quotes Greg Cote, and just put that up before week 1.
You know what? I will write it in a column just to justify that billboard.
Okay, is that how we do columns now?
Yeah, you know.
Yep.
I'm for sale.
I'd
Opinion for sale.
like
I'm
to
kidding.
just really
You're not.
allow everyone to absorb the sheer absurdity, okay? Because I've never been superstitious in my life. The sheer absurdity that you guys think us paying for a billboard will have a result that will be poor for you because we put up a billboard. Like,
Okay.
if-
Just sideswipe superstitions in sports. Like, oh, everyone's stupid for having superstitions in sports. Everyone's got a
pretty
lucky
much.
spot. Everyone's got a closeout jersey. This is something that is routine with sports. And you thumbing your nose at God because you think it's funny to put up a billboard saying Greg was right when he's been wrong and he still hasn't been proven right, even in the most utopian of scenarios. It's not
all the
funny and it's
funnier.
tempting fate.
all the funnier.
I don't understand this. You guys bought tickets to go to the game tonight because you want to watch the Panthers win the Stanley Cup. Would you not be jinxing the Panthers by buying tickets to go watch them win?
No, I've been in that building for several closeout
But you've been at a
games.
bar every other game this playoff run.
No, not every other game. No, what are you
It's
talking
so,
about?
It's so
Billy,
cute that
like,
grown
please
people
just-
believe in jinxes.
Please stop.
Just road
You're
games.
not like he's just gravitating to you to be an ally, and you're an anarchist that doesn't care at all about this.
What?
Please stop.
I'm actually rooting against the Panthers tonight.
You
Of
don't
course you
say.
are. Really?
I want
Yeah.
the
Little
day
game
off tomorrow.
7.
Yeah, no shock there. Yeah.
I think you're off regardless.
We have a company holiday tomorrow. Happy Juneteenth. And
Everybody has a company holiday tomorrow.
well, not every company has to. No, I don't think
Well, they're
that-
racist.
I don't think that that's correct, that every company celebrates Juneteenth. Is that so? I actually would ask all of you this question. Does any other country other than ours celebrate Father's Day?
Yes.
Why wouldn't we?
So Father's Day is that date in other countries as well? It's not an American commercial holiday. It's everywhere. Father's Day is something that's celebrated all over the world.
I never considered it.
I never even thought about it. I'm looking it up right now. But
I would think not. I would
My
think
wife
that,
spoke to her dad in Cuba, and they were talking about Father's Day. So, yes.
It seems to be a thing in Mexico as well.
Okay, so Cuba and Mexico,
Yeah,
but
but we don't get the day off for that.
No. Juneteenth is a federal holiday.
Yeah.
That's why we're off.
Yeah.
Father's Day is celebrated in over 110 countries around the world.
okay.
Wow.
Just not necessarily on the same day.
But we started it. I'm with Dan.
Yeah,
We
right,
do it
did.
best.
USA.
I do want to get to what the Celtics did, Stugotz, because
Won?
Yes, they won, and not only did they win, though, they did what Tom Brady did, which is they beat the respect out of everybody, whether you want to give it or not. Here are some of the stats. They had an NBA record 10 30-point wins. They had an NBA record 3 50-point wins. They had an NBA record 17 25-point wins. They had more 30-point leads, 17, than they had 10-point deficits all season, 16. They won or tied the season series with every team in the league except Denver. God, I would have liked to have seen them have to get past Denver. They won the Eastern Conference by 14 games. It's the largest margin in 50 years. They averaged 1.22 points per possession. That's the best offense in NBA history. Their longest losing streak this season was 2 games. They clinched a playoff spot 17 days before any other team. They never trailed in a playoff series. They allowed the fewest free throws in NBA history, and now Jason Tatum has won a title at an earlier age than Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Shaq, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. It's a little bit hard to argue. You can hate if you want. You could say injuries and they never had to beat anything better than a 4 seed. And you can complain about, well, they won all their games easily and the 3 they lost in the playoffs, they got blown out in all of them. But it's all nitpick. This is statistically, empirically, whether you want to believe it or not, one of the best NBA teams we've ever seen. And one of the reasons it's confusing or hard to make them that, Stugotz, is just because they perfected the modern game. That is not the best offense I've ever seen. It's just the best offense when you've got 3-pointers involved in a league that's taking 40 of them per team a game.
It's a well-built roster. They've done a great job. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are fantastic. Jaylen Brown winning the MVP is an absolute joke. He had no business winning the Finals MVP. That should have went to Al Horford. Everyone knows that. It was a great night. I mean, the Celtics historically, Dan, are an overwhelming team, a great team, and because of who they played to get to the NBA Finals and win in the NBA Finals, I feel like they're not going to get the credit that they deserve. But they have been great all year.
This one I never know about, right? The credit they deserve. It says forever that they're champions, and we all think right now that this is starting. They're still young. Tatum has had an amazing career for someone who is 26 years old. But to Stugotz's point, I really do believe that they gave the Finals MVP last night only because it's sponsored. They had to give it to somebody. You cannot give it to somebody who in the last game goes 7 for 23 and 2 for 9 from 3, but they couldn't give it to Tatum because he was 11 for 24 and 1 for 7 from 3. It was a shit game to watch. But they strangle you. That team doesn't allow free throws, and they defend threes very well, and what you saw last night is they had to give somebody the Finals MVP. And so I say we should put an asterisk this year on the Finals MVP, and we should sponsor the asterisk. We should, because we can't take it away, right? We can't. They have to give it out because it's a sponsored award.
You have to.
Right. I mean, in my personal record book, StugottsBook.com, I could take it away, but we can't take it away. You're right.
Nobody can take it away, so the best that we can do is get an asterisk and sponsor that, right? So let's make sure to do that, please, over the course of the show, because I don't think that Jaylen Brown did anything in that series other than wear a uniform for the team that happened to win it. Like I could have easily given that to Drew Holiday, last night included.
Yes.
You have to give it to Al Horford. I mean, the man was drafted a day before the iPhone was released. I mean,
yeah,
that can't be true.
No, it is, yeah. And there's old Tito Horford cheering for his son.
It was great. What a great moment.
Yeah, if you're going on sentimentality, Al Horford is certifiably the Finals MVP.
Mm-hmm.
There's no question about it.
They don't go on sentimentality. They tend to go by
Be a
play
good
on the
story,
court.
right.
But in the absence of play on the court worthy of a Finals MVP, maybe we should go on sentimentality.
I'd have voted for Tatum. And by the way, one stat you didn't mention. Last night, Jason Tatum surpassed Kobe Bryant for the most career playoff points at age 26 or younger. This is a young man. It's one more reason for Heat fans down here to be a little bit dejected, because this is a team that is built to like be really, really good. And you can argue certifiably that they did have an easy path, but they're also a great team. They were great all season. What a richly deserved championship. Congratulations, Boston.
They are going weird that you would do that way. That you would.
We don't do enough of that, Dan. We try to tear a team down, tell them to do it again,
No, and we're from, in Miami, people hate Celtics. Mostly they hate Boston fans, okay? I've never rooted for or against fans. I don't care. This is a likable team. From Al Horford, to me, all the players are likable. Jrue Holiday is a great guy. Porzingis was a great signing. They've done everything right, the Celtics, to build what they have.
Your Lawrence, Mass roots are showing.
I am a native Massachusettsan, Ian. What do you got, Massachusettsite? I don't even know what they're called.
No idea.
Yeah.
You'd think a native would know that.
Well, I'm from Lawrence, which nobody admits. If I were from Boston, that'd be different. But Lawrence is
Bostonian.
Right. Lawrence is about 30 miles west of Boston, and it's not a place you brag about being from. No offense, Lawrence. If you're from Lawrence, believe me, I grew up on Lawton's hot dogs. My mother worked at Merrim Knitting Mill right across from the Merrimack River. I know Lawrence, and I'm from there. And believe me, my roots are in Massachusetts. Thank God my dad moved the family down here looking for work. But still, I love me some Massachusetts.
Didn't you and Uncle Dick try to buy Lawton's
We
dogs?
looked into it, yeah, and it literally fell into the Merrimack River before we could buy it. But it's a sad story.
Lucky for you guys.
Yeah.
It'd be worse if it fell
Right.
in after you bought it.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
true.
You okay?
I was gonna say blessing in disguise, but it sounds like it's a blessing in the river. you know?
Yep.
Yeah, people listening to my voice from the area know all about Lawton's hot dogs, believe me. I believe they boil them in oil. I think that's how they cook them.
Oil.
Yeah, with a top slit bun that's really popular in New England. My mouth's watering. Anyway,
That is the first time Greg Cote has ever addressed the correct camera when talking to a group of people from Lawrence, as if they're gathered around their television today to see if they could drink the Miami tears after the Celtics have won, Stugotz. The Celtics are coming down here to party. They have a team flight at noon coming down here to get drunk for 3 days. I think if the Panthers do indeed win the title, I don't know if I jinxed them by saying they might win it tonight, that they should go and go to Boston after the game and celebrate with white people. Celebrate, get a team flight for Kachuk and Markov. You want to go spend some time with Bostonians or Massachusetts?
First,
There
they have
it
to
is.
go. First, they have to go to quarterdeck.
yes,
Yeah.
1929.
I like the idea of the winning team celebrating in the opposing team city. Actually, go to Dallas, or if you're the Panthers, go to Edmonton.
Well, I legitimately don't know if Boston is coming here because the party's better here or because of how funny it is to do this on the Heat's turf. After the last 5 years.
Yeah.
After the last 5 years, those two teams have been fighting at the top of the conference, and now only one of them forever gets to win.
Massachusetts is a weird state. I think the bars and the clubs close at like 1 o'clock. So if you want to party there, you can't do it too late. You come to Miami. It's a smart play by them. It is. And you do it right in front of the fan base that hates you the most.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Are the Celtics coming to Miami because one option is the party is better there, or because the Miami Heat play there?
It is funny. It should start a trend. I think the Florida Panthers should go to Edmonton to have their parade.
Yeah.
That's
Steve
a good
Martin.
idea.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Stugotz just said? Didn't you?
Did
Just,
he?
Yeah, Steve Martin.
Were you
Yeah.
not listening to? Did he? He's sitting right across from.
I didn't hear that.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you grab your drink.
Yeah.
He was sitting right
Yeah,
across
and
from
what did
you.
he say exactly? Let me roll tape. Let me hear what he said. If I missed it, I'm sorry.
You just said it.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's worth me maximum type thing. It's worth reiterating.
Yes, thank you.
I said it. Now it is.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
With last night's performance, though, Jason Tatum, who Greg Cote would have voted for MVP, and I saw like at least 3 or 4 people that voted Jason Tatum for MVP. With last night's performance, he finally pulled ahead of Patrick Ewing for the second worst field goal percentage in NBA Finals history, minimum 150 attempts.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy was Jason Tatum for Jaylen Brown winning the MVP?
Oh, wow.
4.
It's a good question.
I agree.
4.
Michael Pena on Twitter writes, Jason Tatum officially becomes the 6th champion in history to lead his team in playoff points, rebounds, and assists. He joins LeBron, Bird, Jokic, Hakeem, and Duncan.
MVP.
All with a sub 40% from the field and under 40% from 3-point land. I think he was 10 for 37 this finals. I think it's right to have questions about Jason Tatum still, but to me, it's not even a debate considering the last 2 most valuable players in the series that they've played in have gone to Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's very clearly, I think, they're number 1 now.
I think with Tatum, what's interesting is the guy never had one of those moments late in the game where he had to do something, hit a big shot. The team wasn't pressed like that really throughout the entire postseason. But he did check off some boxes. Like, they got it done in a closeout game. It was impressive. They blew that team out. And he drove to the rim a lot. He did. And dished the ball a lot. He was not just chucking threes, although he shot a lot of threes, but he was going to the rim a lot, and he was distributing the ball a lot. And that was impressive to see.
All while shooting worse than J.R. Smith.
I get it.
The lament that his percentages are low will obviously be something that just drifts out to sea. Nobody cares.
Except Mike.
I think that there's a discussion in that you can still have the questions about Jason Tatum because he wasn't their most valuable player. And people can parse that because he wasn't particularly awesome. I think we all wanted to see Jason Tatum be the guy, not just in the NBA Finals, but throughout the postseason, and he wasn't, if you want to nitpick. But, yeah, he checked the biggest box, and that franchise checked the biggest box, and it was a war of attrition for them. They made a gutsy move in the offseason, credit to them, and they were pretty healthy, but they had to deal with a big injury in Kristaps Porzingis. They ran through the entire postseason like a hot knife through butter.
They ran through the entire league all season. Clearly the best team all season.
I wonder if this is the start of something close to a dynasty or a dynasty. I don't know how, like, the last 6 seasons, which was shocking to me, the NBA has had a different champion every single year. That's not the norm in the NBA, but it feels like this team is just getting started.
No, well, I don't want to do that with you because, we do that too quickly.
Right.
That's a 2 A's. I just did 2 A's. I did because this is going to have, before we get back to the asterisk, I'm going to have like a bunch of A's and B's here. Okay.
Boston Billboard, is this a dynasty? Then maybe you jinx them, and then it's not a dynasty.
Well, yeah, I just love the idea that billboards decide championships. I'm going to start putting them up all over the place because this is, a superstition that's clearly infallible.
No, I'm the silly one for saying, hey, it's not a good idea to put up "We are the champions" before we are actually champions.
No,
sue me. No. I get it. We're just all having fun here, and I'm the guy standing in the way because of my superstition that's so stupid because I don't want to be taking a victory lap before there's actually a victory. That's my bad guy.
I stand with you, Mike.
You're just afraid of being the joke. That's all. I understand.
We are a joke. It's a self-own.
I know.
Here's a joke that someone from our fan base has to explain to you. See why it's funny, even though we're not champions? I don't like it. It's self-own.
I know.
And it's thumbing your nose at God. You do not thumb your nose at God.
No, Greg says he's overrated. Greg says the God that plays in Edmonton is overrated.
The guy that is overrated is leading this series in points. And if you're looking to hedge, which I am because I'm in long game with this future for the Florida Panthers, I'm going to place an emotional hedge on Connor McDavid to win Conn Smythe because he might actually win it without winning the cup.
Outrage.
That's
if
a
that
jinx.
happens.
That's a jinx.
Yep.
That's a worse jinx than. That's a worse jinx. I'm the cell phone.
No, because
I'm the cell
That's
phone.
crazy.
How is it?
I'm
how
the
is it-
cell phone.
You
You
just said
double
the guy's
down
going to
right
win the
now.
Conn Smythe. I mean,
If he said if the Panthers win,
Dane
he
very
said
clearly
will
does not
win
know
it.
how the jinx works.
oh, because he said if.
He
He said if.
If you put
if.
the-
He doesn't know how the
He did
jinx
say
works,
if.
clearly,
He did say
because he
if, right.
keeps wanting to tempt it.
If you put
Apologies.
the bet on Conor McGregor, if you put that bet
That
in,
would be something.
That would be long.
I'm
What are
sorry.
the odds?
Oh, yeah.
if you put the bet on
Enforcer.
Connor McDavid to win the Conn Smythe, you're not jinxing the Panthers. If you
No,
do
you're
that
hedging
now?
on your bet, and also he can win even if they lose the series. We've seen most recently.
But he will win
Jaguar.
if they win the series.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
right now you can get the Oilers at plus 700 to come back in the series and win it, or you can get Connor McDavid at plus 700 to win the Conn Smythe. If you want to hedge your Panthers' future, what you do is, well, if the Oilers come back,
When they come back.
it's going to be McDavid that does it.
Shut up,
so let
Billy.
me bet McDavid to win Conn Smythe. That way, there is even a scenario in which they lose Lord Stanley, and I can still hedge.
I said when, so I can jinx them, so then the Panthers win.
Shut up.
I just don't understand how us putting McOverrated T-shirts in LeBatardAF.com wasn't a jinx when we did it, and the Panthers then just won the next 3 games.
You very clearly don't understand because it was. He's the leading scorer in the series, and I tried to stop that, and you guys just went ahead with it, and hopefully we can survive it.
Mike, for all the leading scorer in the series stuff you're doing, you're thrilled with the way the Panthers are playing against McDavid, and you're thrilled with what his output is. You would, if I'd given you this before the series started and said he's not going to score goals, you're going to keep him from scoring goals, you would take the stat line from him, even though he has more points than anyone in a postseason.
I would say that if McDavid was easily the most points had the most points in the series, which he is presently, I would say there's no way that the Panthers are leading 3-1 in this series with an opportunity to close it out at home. No, I don't. I think he's been really good. I think he's been pretty dynamite.
You wouldn't have taken all the assists, but no goals.
I think he's had 2 subpar games. I think maybe you didn't catch it or whatever, but he actually really set up what should have been a game-tying goal beautifully. Behind Bobrovsky, through Bobrovsky's legs to Ryan McLeod, and Bobrovsky makes the save of the series.
Maybe I didn't catch it.
I don't think you did, because like if we're still going to be one note about the McDavid overrated
Mike,
stuff,
I'm not one note on the McDavid overrated stuff. Like, stop doing that to me. I wasn't even here the week Greg Cote said it.
No,
I wasn't on this side of the country.
No, you're right. You're totally free from any blame on this whole McOverrated thing.
I haven't put up the billboards yet.
But you put up the T-shirts, and you're trying actively to put up the billboards right now. So it's funny to me that you're trying to disassociate yourself from the blame here.
Greg's whole point was he's not an all-time great without a Stanley Cup.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter how many points or goals or assists or whatever he gets. If he doesn't win the Stanley Cup, it's still the point Greg made was he's not as good without a Stanley Cup.
He took a pot shot.
Okay, if
It's a pot shot.
No, it's not.
That's a pot shot.
If there's-
You call him McOverrated, that's a pot shot.
If there's blame here, I'll take it all on, okay? It doesn't need to go to any place else.
True leadership.
Because this is me. I have never said Connor McDavid is not a great player. He is. What I mean by overrated is...
He's telling you to talk into the microphone
I know.
like a broadcast
Yeah,
professional.
that he needs a Stanley Cup, and he still might be able to get it. And yeah, to be considered, you're right. To be considered an all-time great, you have to lift that cup over your head. He's got to do it, but he's still pretty early in his career. He's just entering his prime. He's got plenty of time to do it, and he can totally change this series tonight with another brilliant performance.
Yeah, and then another one, and then another one.
Dan Marino thought the same thing. So, I mean, I don't know.
1984, then when did it happen again?
Yeah.
Yes.
He showed up with the tuxedo he was going to party in and never got to take it out of the dry cleaning bag.
That's a jinx.
Yeah.
I hate magnifying the jinx thing, and it's not a dumb thing. People have their superstitions. I don't like to minimize those.
Okay, I do think superstitions are silly, but we can argue about that at another time.
If you see a ladder and it's up against a
Don't
wall.
care. Just opened an umbrella up in here last week. I just did that.
Yeah,
I don't
hopefully
care
we
about
survive
that.
that.
Really?
Yeah, I don't care
Crazy,
about that stuff.
man.
The things that I wanted to address from earlier in the show, okay, because we keep talking about McDavid, and to me, it's the reason it's funny is because it's one of the stupidest sports arguments I've ever heard. The idea that somebody, if they don't hold up the cup, he can't be considered an all-time great when I'm clearly watching an all-time great. And Barkley didn't win one. Ted Williams didn't win one. Barry Bonds didn't win one. Like, those are all-time greats. So you guys doing this it feels to me like it's a little bit empty. But something else that's happening here is PK Subban came in here last week and said, the best player in the world is Barkov. And the reason he's saying that is because he felt that McDavid has been minimized when Barkov is on the ice. Nobody before, never mind this season, No one before this series was saying Barkov's the best player in the world.
Yeah, but PK was saying that because it was a Tuesday. PK has called 3 different players the best players in this series. Like, he tends to swing wildly.
That's how you do it.
But I do agree. Like, if Barkov does indeed win a Stanley Cup, he all of a sudden gets lifted up into another tier. And it's kind of like how Andre Iguodala won a Finals MVP in that he just kind of neutralized the best player in the world.
That didn't really, just made him inefficient, or a little more inefficient. He still was scoring 40 points a game.
And Connor McDavid has still got the most points in this series by a solid amount. And the story with Barkov is the tremendous defense that he's playing out there and making a lot of casual hockey fans pay attention to that end of the ice when they never really do.
And to PK's point, and to what you just said, he's a 2-time Selke winner. He's a 200-foot player, as they like to say in hockey. And he's a better all-round player than McDavid. I don't know if you would agree with that, Mike Ryan.
Well, that's why Jaylen Brown just won Finals MVP, because Dallas scored 88 points last night. Jaylen Brown's a better two-way player than Jason Tatum.
I will say you cited a lot of great baseball examples, and those are some of the greatest players. Barry Bonds probably the greatest player to ever play the game. But in hockey, there is a huge gulf in all-time greats and the list of best players to never win a Stanley Cup. Like, the list is like Luongo and Pierre Turgeon. These aren't Ovechkins of the world. These aren't Jagrs of the world. These aren't Mario Lemieux or Bobby Orrs.
The great ones win in that sport.
The great ones do win in that sport, and that does serve your larger point, even though he's got plenty of time. It took Ovechkin long enough.
What I was just going to say about Ovechkin is he was an all-time great before he won it. It's the first time I was having this conversation around this thing. If McDavid loses in Game 7, or if McDavid loses a close series, I'm not going to hold it against him. But let me go back to what it is that Stugotz was saying when he was talking about dynasty, because it really does make my head hurt how often after a championship, any championship in any sport, people end up there, when we just saw that the best team that Boston had to beat was a 4-seeded Cleveland. That was the highest seeded team that they had to beat.
Well, in part, that's why I'm asking you if you think it's the start of something, because the East is so weak.
No, it's not because the East is weak. The East was hurt this year, Stugotz, and it was a rash of injuries that was a bit startling, and I don't know if it has a lot of precedent. But the thing that I wanted to ask you, as it relates to what Mike was saying about Tatum and percentages, because this is the part that I find interesting about this. I gave you the stat earlier that Tatum has now won a title before LeBron at that age, Michael at that age, Shaq at that age, Steph at that age, Durant at that age. Do you know how hard it was for them to win those titles? Tatum was just given one and didn't even have to be good to do it. Now it's going to be made all the easier. I still want to hit him. I want to watch him hit game-winning shots too, but the first one was for free. Like, he got this one, and he didn't have to do the things that all those names I just gave you had to do. He didn't have to suffer it that way. With, let me see you, LeBron, throw the ball with 5 minutes left at home in Game 6, afraid to post up J.J. Barea, whipping the ball around the court and then going into hiding in your home for 2 months because everyone saw you disappear when you played like that, and your team lost when you played like that. Boston, according to The Ringer, has 5 of the top 50 players in the league. 5 of the top 50 players.
Loaded.
That starting lineup is what won that for them. That starting lineup is what makes it hard to give a Finals MVP to them.
But let's not act like that hasn't happened before. The Celtics with Larry Bird had a great starting 5. The San Antonio Spurs with Tim Duncan had David Robinson for a year. I mean, they had great players. They had Hall of Fame players in Parker and Ginobili. All these guys had some help.
I must admit, Tatum did amplify aspects of his game that made me really take notice. Like, okay, your shot, for whatever reason, isn't going the way that you'd like it, but you're doing all the other things necessary to help your team win. Like, Tatum, it's not like Tatum was bad. It's just not what we'd hoped to see. And I think it's safe to say, and this is a loser's lament, that you still want to see that. They can laugh directly in our faces as they party in our town.
I think it's really rare to finish an NBA Finals and talk about the championship team and be undecided about who the MVP should have been and think that really nobody stood out and deserved it. But to me, that's the ultimate compliment about how good the Celtics are is that, and forget the competition for a minute, they can be champions despite not having the one otherworldly, historically memorable series by anybody. That's how good a team they are.
From the haters' perspective, I see a team that really put together a starting lineup that had 5 of the 50 best players because of how aggressive they were in the offseason. And I see that the gulf between them and everybody else was those moves and health. And the most aggressive team did win the NBA championship, and I hope it sends a message to the rest of the East that they got to match the aggressiveness.
The Ringer Stugotz has top 100 rankings, okay? So the Celtics have 5 of the top 50 players. No other team has more than 3 of those players.
By rest of the East, you mean Pat Riley, right? I mean,
yeah, specifically.
Yeah, right.
Specifically, and I mentioned this casually like on Friday, but I do think they're obviously going to be taking their victory lap, and I mean Boston Celtics media. They are legion. They are powerful. They are influential. But I do think them kicking their feet around, angry at the Damian Lillard rumors, and making sure that the Flames got high enough to which Portland fans were fully indoctrinated. No deals with Miami. The front office was aligned. We're not dealing with Miami. As a result, they end up getting Drew Holiday and all that stuff. I do think, to a degree, they deserve some credit for what they did this offseason.
You think Derek White goes to the dentist this morning before the flight to Miami, or he's just going to ride out the jacked up grill for like all week?
You're going to self-medicate. You're going to get drunk on liquor and Triumph and what Mike just said, where he's crediting the Boston media. They're going to come down here just to listen to sports radio.
Yeah.
As a team, they're flying down. They're flying down.
All
at
saying at
noon.
the Ulcer. Yeah. If you're Derek White, you gotta keep the grill the way it is for the marketing opportunities that come with it. He's already been immortalized by a T-shirt there. Like it's a heroic look for a basketball player. So ride that out as long as you can.
wait until they get a load of Defo. I mean,
Can we please sponsor the asterisk on Jaylen Brown's Finals MVP? I'd like to figure out how it is that we do this. Can we put up on the screen something that properly celebrates Jaylen Brown, because we must have a Finals MVP sponsored?
Yeah, I just found out. It's behind you if you want to see. The asterisk is sponsored by DraftKings. Hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. It's sponsored by Miller Lite. 96 calories, the best tasting light beer there is out there.
So this is all the sponsor for the asterisk.
Yeah, the asterisk, and it's also sproduced by Cuervo, of course. Brought to you, it's a good time to enjoy the tequila that invented tequila. And then, of course, Game Time.
Okay, very good.
Promo code Dan.
20% off your first purchase. We love an asterisk.
Everyone knows there is only one real championship in sports worth winning this week. It can be won tonight in Sunrise when the Panthers finish off, possibly, if it's not jinxing it to say it, the Edmonton Oilers. I just came in here and Greg and Stugotz were having the discussion of what Greg Cote would write if indeed Connor McDavid and the Oilers come back to win 4 straight games. And the conversation they were having was about Greg Cote writing the column after it's all over, after the Panthers have lost a heartbreaking Game 7, writing the column, I was indeed wrong, but at the time, I was right.
Put that on a billboard.
It doesn't quite have the same ring.
Look at radiant Charlotte Wilder. Look at her. She is holding up champagne. All illusions of objectivity have been discarded. She joins us from Boston, where it is. I'm assuming there hasn't been much sleep. What has the evening been like for you, surrounded by all that racism?
Okay. All right. I was so excited. I was ready to come in here and be like, don't let him get one. And then you did that, Dan. Thanks a lot. Awesome. Love it. No, listen. I highly recommend that everybody have the experience of their team winning a championship. This is amazing. This is fun, guys. Like, more people should do this. Why don't more people do this? This is a phenomenal experience. 10 out of 10. No notes.
How much have you slapped? How many of the highlights have you been watching? How teary-eyed did you get watching Jason Tatum hold up his child?
Okay, well, I'm going to tear up again. Did I cry? Maybe in the press box. That's fine, right? Look, a little thumbs up. I was out with the team all night. We were partying. Just got back to my parents' house. I'm in their basement in Massachusetts. No, just kidding. They wouldn't even let me in the locker room, but I did try. Look, this feels like I am such a sicko, guys. This is the point that I'm at. I was I was watching them win, and I was like, before they won, sorry. Pritchard hits that buzzer beater, which, by the way, can I just say I called it? They came in. He was in with 4 minutes. With 4 seconds to go at the end of the third, and I saw him stretching. He was sort of stretching by the free throw line. And I was like, Pritchard is there. Like, he's going to do it. He's going to hit that buzzer beater. He gets the ball from Al Horford off that rebound, sinks it from freaking Siberia. And I was like, oh my God, is this the next dynasty? Is this the next Warriors? Like, that is what a sicko I am right now, guys.
That was an I told you so about a shot that you knew he was going to make in a game. That was your analysis from
Mike Breen did say he loves taking these shots. They put him in just to take these shots. I mean, he's hit a few.
He practices. Right. He practices these shots, and Missoula puts him in. He's like, Pritchard doesn't care if he messes up his 3-point percentage. He wants to take those shots, so we let him. And he did it in the finals, Dan. That's pretty cool.
Mike just muttered in my ear, heartbroken, Missoula's a champion. It's such a funny thing to think about. He was drafted. He was in the draft class of Kyrie Irving. He is a young person who should have been fired after Game 4 last season in the first round.
Now he's a Hall of Famer.
Now he's a champion, and you two are both talking dynasty. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is Missoula going to replace Red Auerbach as the greatest coach in Celtics history?
All I'm saying, Dan, is that Joe Missoula, he doesn't get too high. He doesn't get too low. He said winning can be just as dangerous as losing, but he kept his team even keeled. Bunch of superstars. They all bought in. It was a team win. Don't put that up. Put me up.
No,
look how good I look right now. Look how good I look.
This is what's happening in here right now. Since last year, we have had this banner of Bill Simmons looking sad at last year's Game 7 Celtics Heat. And after the Heat lost to the Nuggets, we were going to hang that as our banner in here from last season, but we never got around to it. And now that banner has been it has been, I don't know what it is. It's been drawn on. It has been desecrated with graffiti. His sadness has been turned into a smile now, and all of Boston is thrilled tonight. Did you actually get out into the city? Like, what was? I imagine that the cheapest ticket there last night was $1,700 to get into the building. I imagine it was a zoo there because I don't think Boston, never mind the Patriots, I don't think Boston cares about anything except basketball and baseball.
What?
The Bruins.
No, but that's higher
I
than
think hockey's the
no.
big
Bruins
forgive-
outrated them
forgive
ahead
me,
in the
forgive
first
me.
round.
I got caught up in the air
It's
there.
okay.
I got
They
caught
like
up
their
in the air.
sports.
Patriots are pretty
do
This is their
like
first title
sports.
in 5.5 years.
But the way
Long
they
suffering.
care about the Celtics, I think, is more than the way they care about the Bruins and the Patriots. I got caught up in the air and realized that they care about the Red Sox that way too.
They care about the Patriots. They care about the Bruins. They care about the Celtics. Can we replace the Bill inbox there for the visual listeners with just another inbox of me? Because look how I found these ski goggles in my parents' freaking hat closet or whatever. Yeah, thank you. There. This is what I want. I want double the Charlotte, because these are heat tears. This isn't champagne. These are heat tears.
Ooh.
I told you I was going to drink them, Dan. No, look, I got outside after the stadium, after the game. It was 1:15 because I had gone to the press conferences like any good journalist does. And it was still a little scary. I had to walk 2 blocks to get a car. And I was like, I don't know if I should be out here by myself. Dan, people care so much. I think the fact that the Celtics took, in 2018, I remember Tatum and Brown, Eastern Conference Finals, and it sort of blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, is this possible? It's 2024, and they have lost Eastern Conference Finals many times. They have lost the finals. They lost the Eastern Conference Finals to the Heat. It took time for them to do this, and I think patience is expensive in sports. It's hard. It's sort of unbelievable that the front office stuck with this long enough for this to happen. And they did it as a team. And I think that it made it so much sweeter that I remembered being in that building in 2022 and being like, this feels awful. Losing at home it feels very, very bad. And then for them to win at home, it felt like it's euphoric.
Let me rephrase what it is that I was saying, because in getting tangling up, I think I failed. I want everyone to understand this city's relationship with this team when it comes to sports identity, regional identity, and the way Boston generally just cares about sports. That was built by baseball and basketball. And the way that basketball became what baseball was is they were winning so much that they sort of tried to take the city from baseball.
Yes.
And what ended up happening after that is the Patriots got in that discussion with the same kind of winning, but Boston doesn't care about the Patriots the way that it cares about the Celtics, because it hasn't been handed down from grandfather to father to son, from grandmother to mother to daughter. It hasn't been handed down. The winning hasn't been handed down.
Charlotte would know best, but I think that's by generation. If you ask younger kids what's the big team in Boston, they would tell you the Patriots.
Agree, but my point is that that's because that's the one that did the winning with just football.
Correct,
It's not.
right.
It doesn't go back to when this all started. Where did Boston start caring about sports? When they had Bill Russell and Red Auerbach winning anything,
And also-
everything. Because Boston, Ted Williams wasn't winning.
No.
And also, Foxborough is a far-flung suburb. It's not in the city like those other teams are.
So,
Yeah,
Charlotte,
I mean-
you can speak to this.
I think that Boston, now the biggest team is the Patriots. I don't think there's any way around that. I think I think NFL has a much bigger hold on the country as a whole than any other sport. And I think that the Patriots, that dominance for 20 years, it was 20 years. That's a generation, right? I don't know how long a generation is. But I think that, yes, the Celtics carry so much weight. And but they hadn't they won in 1986, they won in 2008, they won in 2024. That's in Boston terms, as obnoxious as it is to say this, that is long. 2008 to 2024 is well, we don't remember what this feels like for basketball, for everything else. It's the most obnoxious thing in the world to be a Boston
Charlotte,
fan.
you're spoiled. It is now because of the last 20 years, Charlotte. Before that, they were losers except for the Celtics. The Red Sox were a laughingstock. The Patriots were a laughingstock.
Yeah, I know. I was alive for it. But at the same time, when I was growing up in the 90s, they won in 86 and then they didn't win until 2008, the Celtics. I think that that is the handed down generational love for this team. But I think every sport now, because it's been so dominant, I guess something that was exciting, Dan, last night was to see how much fans cared about the fact that this was not just a rote championship. This was not like, oh, cool, they did it again. Like, this felt, the Garden was so loud. It was, even in a blowout in the fourth quarter, everybody was just losing their mind. And I was proud because I was berating fans a couple weeks ago for leaving early, and they didn't leave early. So yes, I think the weight of this team has carried, and the history has carried a lot of that. But I think it's also just the heartbreak of the last, 7 years that has made that made this feel so good.
A generation is considered to be 20 to 30 years. Just so we're all clear, because I know we were all thinking it, right? I mean, I was, at least. I looked it up.
The
Generations.com.
The thing that I was thinking of was how absurd a love for something has to be for it to be the cheapest ticket in getting in is $1,700, which made that ticket last night the most expensive in the history of Boston sports.
Crazy.
Because of how that city wanted to win there, and because of whatever it is that Charlotte is talking about that's the last 5 years, combined with Mike Ryan being able to say for this entire century, you've won one. You're telling me you're the most historic franchise, and I, in my lifetime, have seen you win one time. And now they get to say that they've won twice. When you were crying in the press box, Charlotte, what was happening there? Like, what was it? Just watching the happiness, or was there something specific that triggered it?
By the way, that's going to be first of all, can we get me back in the double box? What happened? I really like that. That was fun. That was exciting for me. Can we get
more
me?
Maximum me?
Thank you so much.
Maximum me. You have 20
this is about
seconds
me right now,
left.
Dan.
You
This is
have
about
20
me. First
seconds.
of all,
15 now.
First of all, the name
14.
of my memoir is going to be "Crying in the Press Box," a Charlotte Wilder story. No, Dan, it was that that's where I grew up, in and around that city. It felt very, I think for me personally, just to be there. And this is my job, and there was sort of a full circle moment. And they lost so many times in the past 7 years, and then they won. And I was so happy for them, and they tried so hard, and they did it, and it was a historic season. One of the best, maybe the best team ever. I don't know. You can't say it was luck.
God.
You can't say it was luck.
Oddball every day but Monday on the Le Batard and Friends Network. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Life's short when you don't pay attention, and even shorter when you do. A tough shot, a walking contradiction, even weirder than she looks. She said, I'm not gritty, grim and gray sketches. My love's a dish, the best unserved. Oh.
Dan, when you were a young kid growing up on the pond, did you dream about this moment? Did you dream about what it would be like to lift the chalice?
Yes, I dreamed about this my entire life when I was on the pond swimming. Roy Bellamy, David Jork of the Hockey News. This is the Hockey Show. We have gone up north to Edmonton to cover Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final, and the Panthers have a chance to actually win this one tonight and bring home the cup.
They might do what that guy's doing right there in that statue, and they might be skating around with the Stanley Cup over their head tonight.
So we are here to ask the big questions. We are here to ask the Canadian media and some of the American media what they thought of Greg Cote's comments before the series started.
Is he still McOverrated? We got to go see what some of the hockey experts, the biggest names in hockey journalism, think about what Greg said.
I think that the desired effect was accomplished with that call in terms of dominating the headlines, especially here in Canada for a week.
I realize this is a hot take world, but I think that take is Mick terrible. How's that?
Yes. He is not overrated by any measure.
First of all, Mick overrated for me is the McRib. I always feel like the hype never matches the product. But my thought is this, is that he is not overrated. He's the best hockey player in the world. And my dude is one of only 2 players in NHL history to have a point on half his team's playoff goals. And the other dude is Wayne Gretzky. I am sorry. That is all the counter argument that I need. Connor McDavid is not overrated.
All right, we're here with Steve Goldstein, Florida Panthers play-by-play voice, sports anchor for Local10.com, Miami Dolphins preseason play-by-play voice, and the unofficial mayor of Sunrise, according to Mike Cunio. Did I get them all?
Except it's Channel 4, not Channel 10, but that's okay.
Did I say Channel 10? Play voice, the sports anchor for WFOR Channel 4. There's,
Just call it Channel 4, you know.
Yeah, and he's... See, this is why you shouldn't give me the microphone.
Yeah, give the mic to Roy already. Let's go.
Greg Cote, like, what is he doing? McOverrated? He's calling him an underachiever. What do you think about that, Steve?
I think Connor McDavid doesn't have any goals in the series, is what I think.
Interesting.
The fundamental misunderstanding of the sport of hockey that one player can have that impact in a sport to win a championship. This is not LeBron James in basketball where one player can win it.
All right, morning skaters just ended, and now the players are going back to the locker room. So the media, as you can see, is about to go into the locker room and ask questions. I believe I just heard the Baseball Tonight theme song.
I think with this group is a special group because we live in the moment. Like, we enjoy every single moment, and every single win we enjoy as a group. And
throughout your time in Florida, in these settings,
hat, by the way, seriously, appreciate the hat.
Absolutely, well done.
Well, everybody has taken the option. The entire roster is out here for morning skate, and it looks like we're gonna get the job done tonight. So
I love the confidence.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm confident.
Do you believe in comebacks?
Absolutely.
Are we going to see one? Is that what's happening here?
1 of 4 starts tonight.
I think Edmonton will pull off the win tonight.
5-1 Edmonton.
5-1.
5-1. Well, that sucked.
That sucked.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was an ass kicking.
I'm out of here.
2-on-1 down the left side. Here's Ballard with a wrist shot. Shoots. He scores! We've landed on the moon. Dvorak takes a shot. Loose puck right out in front. Pelts it in. Puck's in the rebound. What's in the box? Frolik again. He's set up. Another shot. He scores! I feel like taking crazy pills. Weiss, he shoots. He scores! I'm never going to dance again. Ballard, quick try, shoots, he scores! Ball! The meatloaf! McLean to the left side of Frolik. From the face-off circle. Fires a try, shoots, he scores! Get off my lawn! McCabe's got a wide open net. Bingo! Empty net goal. Come with me if you want to live. Campbell throws it out in front, goes back to the point, long shot, they shoot, they score! There's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Reggie Hammond. Booth, wrist shot, shoots, he scores! Wilson!
One of my favorites, Randy Moeller, hockey on the radio. That was a thing that we were doing 20 years ago. There was some sounds, Stugotz, that you were giggling about earlier because you almost went to go be the boss of Sal Licata in New York because he's an angry New York sports radio host. And I don't know if that anger is real or if it is contrived for the air, but the thing that he's angry about most recently involves Grimace, the McDonald's mascot, or I guess one of the McDonald's mascots. In fact, where does he rank in the history of McDonald's mascots? It's Ronald McDonald. Is the Hamburglar ahead of Grimace, or is Grimace ahead of the Hamburglar?
Well, there's a lot of controversy going on with the McDonald's mascots, if you will. We've discussed how Ronald McDonald hasn't really been shown other than like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade for a while now. Now, Grimace might be on the outs in the rankings of McDonald's mascots because last year there was this big campaign to celebrate Grimace's birthday. I think it had been like 30 years, 20 years, something like that since they had celebrated Grimace's birthday. Now, what happened was they commemorated Grimace's birthday last year with a Grimace shake. Then the internet got to the Grimace shake and the TikTok got to the Grimace shake. And then what was happening was viral videos were going around of people celebrating Grimace's birthday, saying, "Happy birthday, Grimace," and consuming the Grimace shake, and then seemingly recreating crime scenes in which they had overdosed or been slaughtered by someone, and the Grimace shake was all around them, as you can see on the floor. So it was like horror movies were being done with the Grimace shake. So this year, after 3 months heads up last year, there was no celebration of Grimace's birthday. However, it seems as though the Mets invited Grimace right around Grimace's birthday to throw out the first pitch. Now, Grimace, not on Grimace's best behavior the day of the first pitch. Shenanigans behind home plate, trying to distract the pitchers. I believe the game was against the Marlins. Lo and behold, the Mets have won 6 straight games since Grimace has thrown out a first pitch. So many people are crediting Grimace and not the Mets having the highest payroll in baseball as to why the Mets are now all of a sudden hot.
You didn't answer his question.
He did not.
Odd detail, Grimace is wearing a lefty glove, even though he throws righty.
I mean, Billy's wheelhouse.
Well, not answering my question, which
requiring
was
context as to what we're going to see in the clip.
Yeah, but you didn't answer my question. You gave me the context.
We feel like
second, third.
Third?
Whatever.
Hamburglar?
I feel like the Hamburglar might, but that's from a different time. They don't even do the Hamburglar anymore.
Yes,
right?
they do.
He's been.
In fact, both Grimace and the Hamburglar were featured on Michael Jordan's racing teams over the weekend at Iowa.
And nobody's talking about Birdie, the other mascot.
So Sal Licata is WFAN's angry voice here, and because Grimace is at the center of a winning streak, for some reason he has been enraged by Grimace.
The Mets finally are playing well. They go on a winning streak. They've won 5 in a row. Hottest team in baseball, 8 of 10, whatever it may be.
Yep.
And yet you've got some knuckleheads on social media and elsewhere giving, of all people, credit for this run, Grimace, that fat McDonald's mascot. That's who's going to get, the Grimace Mets. I even saw Zoo tweet about this. The Grimace Mets. And it's not just him. Everybody's doing the same. The Mets are 5-0 since Grimace threw out the first pitch. That's really what we're talking about? Like, the Mets are actually playing well. They've won 5 in a row, and it's because Grimace threw out the first pitch.
He's got good scout report. Scouts like him.
This is what I mean. Like, it's such like minor league stuff. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Can you imagine to be with the Yankees?
5-tool player.
Yeah, one thing about Grimace, I think he could have stole some bags on the Yankees last night.
Yeah, even him, right, off Trevino.
But come on, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
The Grimace Mets.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that makes Sal Licata our
gas bag of the week.
You throw it out there, though, Dan. You take phone calls for 3 hours, 20 share. Boom. I mean, that's how you do it. It's a good job by Sal.
Sal's second time winning, right?
Yes.
First repeat winner?
Yeah. There's no way a person is that angry every single day. It's impossible. He woke up one day. He had no one to be angry at. There was no one to be angry at. The Mets were winning. The Yankees are good. All the other sports are done. So he went after Grimace. I mean,
Don LeGrecker, by the way, would be that person.
That's also a classic old-timey sports radio journalism type thing where you complain about everybody talking about this too much while you're talking about it.
Right. It's totally ridiculous to think that Grimace would lead the 6-game winning streak, but not ridiculous to think that our billboard would lead to a 4-game losing streak.
You got away from that, and you had to bring it back.
God.
The more you talk about it, the more you're putting this thing on a pedestal. It's very dangerous.
I want to do the opposite. Can we stop saying the word jinx for the rest of the show?
Please.
Can we just take a moment and enjoy this moment? And I don't mean tonight's game. Like right now, the moment before the game, we have a chance tonight to clinch the Stanley Cup final.
Again.
In our barn.
I don't want to savor this moment. I hate this moment.
Oh, wait a minute. Why can you say that?
What?
Why can you say that we can celebrate winning tonight? But
No, I'm
he
saying-
can't put up a billboard celebrating.
No,
winning.
I'm not putting up a billboard saying we've won the championship. Mick, he's overrated. I'm saying this is a good feeling. I was driving in today, and I'm just like, holy shit. We have a chance to win the Stanley Cup tonight. That is just, I'm nervous. Like, I'm going to get nervous as the game gets closer, but it's just really cool. Can that be a thing? No more jinxes. This is really fun. I'm looking forward. The group chat's on fire. Like, it is just a fun time to be alive now.
I'm not having any fun. Last night
Mike.
was terrible. I'm in a bad mood.
That was the only.
I just want this game to start already because it's been 72 hours.
Like right now.
I had to sit with 8-1. I've listened to every podcast under the sun. I hate it. Just drop the puck. Just drop the puck.
Been on a plane for 72 hours. I feel bad.
Chris, the other day you went.
You might be going straight back.
You went to Sawgrass Sunrise in order to watch on video with what looked like thousands of very excited people.
Yeah, it was sold out.
And so for as much fun as we've been making of Miami proper, not being able to get that far north, this is Sunrise team, Plantations team, Fort Lauderdale's team. That entire region has absolutely embraced everything that's happening there. What was the level of deflate in seeing 5 goals scored in the first 16 shots on Bobrovsky, and how quickly did people flee the last time you had this feeling going to an arena being like, this is really cool?
Something about it not being actually there and it was like just on a screen made it a little less sad. Like if the game was there, I feel like I would have felt worse about it. But everyone cleared out after the second period. Like I tried to beat traffic and I couldn't beat it because everyone left after 6-1.
I want you guys
Gotta wait it out.
From my perspective, you have heard me pretty consistently over the course of this, just generally fearing hockey. Where's the hot goalie going to come from? What's the weirdness that's going to present itself that's going to break my heart? Because I know they have a good team, but Tampa's also good, and Boston's also good, and the New York Rangers are also good. Now, Mike Ryan said that he feared Dallas more. But what I'm telling you I fear the most isn't hockey. Just hockey happening in the playoffs and the randomness of it. It's hockey, and they've got the monster. Whether Cote wants to say he's overrated or not, the other team has the beast. Now, that didn't do anything for Luka last night going into Boston, because when you have the better team, you're supposed to win this game at home, even if the other team has the monster. But I'm scared of that dude.
Now he's playing well.
Well, but he always plays well. Like that. He never doesn't play well. He's never not the biggest, fastest guy on the ice.
Correct, yeah. He's always the biggest threat. It's pretty obvious to the eye. That's the biggest threat on the ice. You could be watching hockey for the first time in your adult life. You see that dude skate for 10 seconds, you realize he's different.
But it's the one thing, that for me spooks me on, I get the pleasure of having the hot goalie. And now I'm coming in off of 8-1. and the hot goalie was taken out after a shutout in the first game of this series, and they've got that guy. You understand how my fear gets ratcheted up as someone who cares about the Panthers, because I do respect and fear that guy, no matter what Greg Cote is making Roy ask all that NHL royalty in Edmonton.
But it was one game. I know Edmonton blew them out, but it's one game. They're still down 3-1.
Stugotz, but he's the best player. He's the best player on the ice in every game.
I understand that, but the Celtic fan base was also nervous because the Mavericks blew out Boston in Game 4. And then what did Boston do once it got home? They blew out the Mavericks.
And let's not make this just a one-man team. They still have Leon Draisaitl and Zach Hyman on that team, too.
They're a top 5 defense, too. Like, it's not just scoring. That's a very good team.
The Messiah is in the Zoom.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. I feel terrible. He was listening to us talking hockey, and we should be listening to him talking hockey. Let me introduce him correctly. He's a 6-time Stanley Cup champion. You did it more efficiently than I'm going to do it. It can just be the Messiah, or it could be 6-time Stanley Cup champion, 5 with the Oilers, 1 with the Rangers, guaranteed the 1 with the Rangers, the 3rd leading point scorer in NHL history, and now he has made the 2,500-mile flight again from Edmonton to the real new capital of ice hockey all over the world, South Florida.
Somehow that guarantee didn't jinx the Rangers.
That's right. Somehow it did not.
Look at that hat, by the way. Look at that hat.
Elbow room. The elbow room.
Tell us about the elbow room, Messiah.
Oh, it's a great place to chop up the series and talk to everybody about what's going on. See all the great fans.
That's not all they're chopping up.
That's where we do our homework.
That's what we're calling it, homework. Because I've been to the elbow room. That place is a special kind of fun dirty.
I love it. It's great to be down by the water. Great people. It's awesome.
Wanted to talk some hockey with you because we have among us, the last time we broke some news from the elbow room, Connor McDavid's dad was bought a drink, and a reporter gave him the drink, and Connor McDavid's dad said, "You're not that Greg Cote, are you?" Because we're with Greg Cote, who has said that Connor McDavid is overrated. And
I love
that is actually funny.
How right he is.
That's a headline. That's a headline grabber.
Thank you.
So how can you explain to him how absurd, how asinine his opinion is?
Well, that's a great thing about sports is everybody has an opinion, and we all get to share it. And it doesn't have to be right or wrong or indifferent. If that's what you feel, that's great. I think he may be underrated, but that's just an opinion as well. I don't know how anybody could call Connor McDavid overrated, but I respect it. I respect the opinion, but that's what makes sports so great is we can sit here and debate it all day and chop it up, and wherever we land, it's great.
Well, Mark, let me explain my opinion and see if I at least have a point here. I've never said McDavid isn't great. I mean, he's the best player in hockey overall, but I don't think he's a two-way. And PK Subban was saying that Barkov is a better all-around player.
You called him an underachiever.
A 200. Yeah, I did. And here's the reason. No.
He's laughing at you.
I think he's an underachiever because for all this greatness, 9 years into his career, he hasn't won a Stanley Cup, and the odds are still long that he's not going to win one again. And I think you don't get to be the top echelon of the GOAT pen without a championship. You've won 6 of them. He hasn't won any yet for all his stats, for all his numbers. Not saying he's not great. I'm saying until he wins the Cup.
He's 27.
I understand, in his 9th year. Until he wins the Cup, he doesn't get to be the best ever. He doesn't get to be McJesus and the next Gretzky and everything else people say, in my opinion.
Well, I think he would agree with you. I don't think he's arguing the fact that through his career he'll want to win the Stanley Cup, or he'll need to win a Stanley Cup to be considered along the greats that you just talked about, Gretzky, Lemieux, Howe, or all the greatest luminaries of our game.
Messier.
The unfortunate part is of team sport is you can't do it alone. I wrote a book exactly that. You can't win. No one wins alone. So of course, the evolution of any hockey player goes through tough times. You have to learn how to win. You have to know how to play. You have to know how to play in tight situations. But it's all just a learning journey for every player, not only Connor McDavid. And sure, Did he know everything when he came in the league? No. Has he gotten better as he's gone through his career? Of course he has. Has he learned how to lead better through these times when the team's down 3-0, the world's looking at him? And in my opinion, he's done an amazing job of the leadership. He hasn't pointed a finger. He hasn't complained about anything that's happened. He just gone out there and played hard every game, which is amazing. And then to put on top of it, when your team's looking at you as a leader, they're looking for anything for any sign of resignation or we can't do it, but he hasn't given any of that. So when you talk about underrated, I mean, there's, sure, he hasn't won because he's 9 years, but there's a lot of players that have gone through their whole career and never won because they haven't been in a situation where the team is strong enough to support them. Good teams put special players in position to make great plays at the right time. And I can talk about that firsthand of all the great teams that I played on. Edmonton's got a team this year where they can compete. Now, whether they can win the Stanley Cup this year, I don't know. Well, that remains to be seen. But ultimately, he needs to support, and then he needs to be able to figure his own game out on both ends of the rink, which every player has to. Wayne Gretzky had to. Mario Lemieux had to. Bobby Orr had to. All the greats. And he's going through that process right now. I wouldn't jump to the conclusion that he's myself personally, and this is just a debate. I personally wouldn't call him underrated at this point. I would call him it's like every other great player. It's a learning curve.
You got a standing ovation at Rogers Place in Edmonton over the weekend. Where are you less likely to have to pay for a drink in public, Edmonton or New York?
Oh, New York, I think.
Well, I'll tell you, I played 12 years in my home city of Edmonton, which was amazing. I born and raised there, played my minor hockey there, family, friends, and of course, when the Edmonton Oilers became part of the National Hockey League, I was drafted by Edmonton and spent 12 incredible years. I played with some of the best teams ever, some of the greatest players ever. We had Hall of Famers, but to be able to do that in my hometown was incredible. When I left New York and asked to be traded, or when I left Edmonton asked to be traded, the team was kind of breaking up and it was starting over again. So I told the GM at the time, Glenn Saylor, that perhaps maybe I'd like to go try it somewhere different. And he goes, well, where would you like to go? And I go, I think New York would be a really fun place to play. Living in New York City, the 51 years at the time when I went there, they hadn't won a Stanley Cup. So the challenge was too great to pass up. I don't look at it in terms of not buying a drink. I look at it in terms of the people I've met along the way. It's been an incredible, fortunate journey for me as a hockey player. And here we are years later, almost 30 years later since we won the Stanley Cup in New York. It doesn't seem like that long ago, but wow, unbelievable.
Yeah, but which city, though?
Yeah, pick a city. Pick a city. It's just, you don't have to look at it about buying a drink, but where are you just simply less likely to have to buy a drink when you walk into any local establishment? Edmonton, where you won 5, or New York, where you won 1?
Or the elbow room.
Can it be? The elbow room, that's it.
No, don't let him out.
Way to go, Cody. Go sit in the penalty box, Cody.
I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I've been treated both. They're tied for first.
You can't say
all right,
both.
That is unacceptable.
Elbow room was a better answer.
Now the questions are going to get harder. This is from Anderson Cooper's interview on 60 Minutes with a mob informant and the former owner of the Gentlemen's Club Scores, and I quote, "The New York Rangers came to Scores on the night they won the Stanley Cup, filled the Stanley Cup with champagne and shared it with everybody, and then they left the cup. They got drunk, and they left the cup." Can you confirm or deny that story from a professional snitch?
I cannot confirm that story. I don't believe I was there, but if I was there, I would have confirmed it, but I'm not sure that happened. I don't think as drunk as everybody might have been, I don't think they would have left the Stanley Cup at Scores.
In 1987, you allegedly brought the Stanley Cup to a gentleman's club in Edmonton, then placed it on the stage where the cup was reportedly used as the prop by the talent. Can you confirm or deny that the Stanley Cup was damaged enough that night to necessitate repairs?
Again, I'm going to deny that. The cup did have a screw that holds the actual very top of it to the bottom part of it that had come loose, and so we took it to a place where they attached it back on.
Classic Messiah.
Can you tell us the most fun that you ever had in a single season? I don't know whether the last one ends up feeling better than the first one when it comes to championships.
Oh, that's a great. I've never been asked that question before. The most fun of any year. Wow. I don't know. I had a great time that year in Edmonton in '80. I would say '84 and '94 probably the two of the best. To pick one, I'm gonna say '94 only because I was 31 at the time. No, I was 31 or what was I? 32 or 3 at the time. We had a great season enjoying New York City and all its great things it has to offer.
How confusing is it to you as somebody who loves Edmonton, loves Canada? How confusing is it to Canada to have Florida dominate hockey for the last 5 years?
I'm not sure if it's in 5 years, but that you're right about Tampa, and they're included as well. That's a great part about our sport is that the expansion into the southern states and the amount of kids that are playing hockey and getting the opportunity to play hockey and have role models right in front of them. It's what the NHL wanted to do. It's what Gary Bettman's initiative was. It's to grow the game, diversify the game. We've done a great job of it. And we look at Austin Matthews being born and raised in Arizona, one of the greatest players in our game today. Just goes to show you how successful it's been coming into the southern states like Florida and like California, like Anaheim, like Nashville. It's amazing. I don't think anybody looks at it as the geography because we have great Canadians playing all over the world and certainly back down here in Florida as well.
I want to come at this Connor McDavid conversation from a different angle.
All right, let's circle back on that. All right.
Yes, I have my top 5 Edmonton Oilers. I have my top 5 Oilers of all time, okay? Top 5 Oilers of all time. All right, that's what I have.
Okay, so you don't. So we'll find out right now. You're telling Mark Messier.
Yes.
Well, he's got to be on this, right? All right. Let's see where we're going to end up. Let's see where we got to end up here.
Maybe that's why we're having the conversations because I'm not on it, which is okay.
I don't think he's a top 5 Oiler of all time. You are. I don't think Connor McDavid is. Okay?
Whoa!
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Whoa!
Yep.
That is a spoiler. Go ahead. You're not going to put him in this top 5. Number 5.
Yari Curry.
Number 4.
Amazing hockey player. One of the best two-way hockey players I've ever played with. Could have won the Selke Trophy for the best defensive forward, scoring 70 goals a year, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4.
Grant Fuhr.
Well, you can't win championships without great goaltending. He's got to be on the list.
Number 3.
Paul Coffey.
All his teammates.
Well, highest scoring defenseman ever. You talk about the tandem with Gretzky and
I got him.
And Coffey together. Great defenseman.
Number 2.
Mark Messier.
Oh, that bum. I'm not sure about that. I think we can replace him.
Number 1.
The great one.
Oh, wow. No Connor McDavid. No Connor McDavid in the top 5.
Go ahead, knock off one of your teammates, Mark. I dare you.
I thought Warren Moon for sure was going to be.
Well, what about Kevin Lowe and Glenn Anderson?
Oh, Glenny Anderson. Glenny Anderson was an all-time great. You can put Moog on the list
all-time great. Oh, but the unfortunate part about Edmonton, there's quite a few great hockey players, Hall of Fame hockey players that could be on the list too. But I'll certainly move out of the way for Connor there as soon as he wins the Stanley Cup. He's going to smash a lot of records in Edmonton. And
so you agree he has to? Thank you.
Boom! We got him, Greg.
I'm not denying that from the get-go, and he won't deny that as well. I think he's well aware of what's at stake in his career. So, but that doesn't mean he's underrated. So I'm with you. Or overrated.
He's definitely not underrated. We can agree.
Properly rated.
Hey, maybe he is underrated.
Maybe he is.
Let's play a little game.
Maybe he is underrated.
Let's play a little game of penalty shot for your life. Okay, you have to choose one guy to take a penalty shot. If he converts it, you're living. If he's not, unfortunately, you die.
We understand the game.
I'm making sure Mark understands the game.
It's for your life. Yes.
Wayne Gretzky, Connor McDavid.
Patrick Kane.
Why? He went off the board.
A shocking answer. answer from the Messiah. Thank you, Mark. Good talking to you.
DJ Oshie.
Pre-game coverage begins 7 p.m. Eastern tonight, ESPN2 with The Point. It features Steve Levy, PK Subban, and Mark Messier. See you later, Mark. Thank you for being on with us.
Thanks for having me on, you guys. Take care.
Thank you, Mark.
Here comes Booth down the other way. Throws it over the far side, shoots, he scores! Stephen Weiss takes the feed from David Booth and puts it top shelf where Mrs. Muller keeps the peanut butter. Here's Campbell, and he fends on it. Rebound by Oles. Make sure they score! Who's your daddy, and what does he do? High slot to Horton, turns around, back to Stillman. Fire, scores! Oh, we're going to need a bigger boat. Wrist shot right in, he shoots, he scores! Say hello to my little friend. Stillman shot, rebound, and shoot, they score! Get in my belly! Feeds the point to Ballard, wrist shot right on net, he shoots, they score! He kills for pleasure, he hunts for sports. Stillman right out in front, he shoots, they score! Make me a bicycle clown!
Those are some bad hockey names in there.
Corey Stillman had a season, huh?
Yes.
Ballard.
So much Ballard. So much Ballard.
Rostislav Olesh. I deserve this.
I deserve this.
We have a concern going into tonight's game that involves the only important championship that will be won in sports this week. Chris Cote is very concerned because Jack Nicklaus is going to be the one who gets to start banging the drum.
The Golden Bear.
At the beginning of the game, and he's 84 years old. And I don't want to be ageist about this because I saw a recent video of Dick Van Dyke at 98 years old. Dick Van Dyke, who has lived a life of laughter and fun.
Look at this guy.
Oh, it's unbelievable at 98, the way that he moves around and how sharp he is.
Watch out for that ottoman.
After a lifetime of pratfalls. He has aged better than this isn't even recent photographic evidence of Jack Nicklaus' son, who not a lot of people have seen recently. He's been in a bit of hiding since being out on this boat eating hoagies this way.
Whoa.
A really unfair position to put Jack Nicholson in. This is many years ago.
He put himself in that position.
That's correct, but we're doing it anyway. Chris, your concern is what? That an 84-year-old Jack Nicklaus, the Golden Bear, isn't going to keep up the tempo the way he needs to?
There's a pace to this thing. I watched Dan Marino because for the final, they like to bring in the biggest names they can get. And it's last year, Marino came in. I don't know which game it was, one of the games, and he just was off. And it just kind of gets the whole crowd reacts weird. It's a big moment right before the game. And I'm just worried. I kind of need to see Jack Nicklaus send in a video of him doing the beat before he does it.
Oh, you think he has to be vetted? He
I
has
need
to
an audition.
He has to audition.
I agree.
There's a pace to it that could really, it just gets the whole crowd. There's murmuring start. Like the crowd, when there's not a good drum beater, it affects the crowd. And I just don't need the crowd affected on this huge night. Like I love the Golden Bear, but it's just, I do love the Golden Bear. I don't know, like, is he a Panthers fan? Is he going to be wearing a jersey? I'm confused by that.
He lives in Jupiter.
Yeah, he's a Panther fan.
They'll give him a jersey.
But I'm just, yes, I have my concerns.
Well, I have a bunch of concerns too, primarily because of what this show is doing. But I have a stat for you that'll make you feel better headed into tonight's possible clincher in Game 5. Vladimir Tarasenko is 1-0 in Stanley Cup final clinching games when the Marlins and St. Louis Cardinals play at Lone Depot Park.
Boom.
Wow.
That is empirical proof.
Guaranteed.
That they're jinx proof. That this team can
say whatever you want, Dan.
Yeah, we're reaching back way deep to try to find a stat to combat what this show has done.
All right, I will put this radiant man out of his suffering.
Did
now.
you like Nick Gordon tagging up and trying to score to tie the game in the 12th there?
Yeah, make the last out at the plate.
It was a shallow fly, but go for it, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Be aggressive.
Why not?
Yes, even if you get thrown out by 50 feet.
Yeah, which it almost was. It was not close at all. Ball barely got out of the infield, but I like the effort. I like going for it.
Mookie Betts is hurt.
Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks.
How's that team going to survive it?
Their third best player.
I do like the way that they are now playing extra innings in baseball, and not just because of the overs. I like that they put a runner on second and they speed everything up, and they forced the Marlins last night to try and take home plate because, of course, St. Louis scored in the top of the inning. They started with a man on second base.
Well, you're riding a high, right? He hits a triple, brings in a run. He's at third base. Why not go for it? He's fast.
Yes, he
not
is
fast enough, though.
Not nearly that fast.
Yeah.
There is no human being that fast. Fast enough to score on
That's
that
not true. I saw Fernando Tatis tag up on a fly ball to second base, and he scored. They weren't expecting him to take off from third base on an infield fly, but he scored.
Stugotz said yesterday that Ellie De La Cruz ended up in a situation where he scored from second on a pickoff attempt.
Ellie De La Cruz.
He's fast, huh?
The Seattle Mariners have 43 wins and 46 quality starts.
How?
Play that Paul O'Neill sound again.
Ella de la Cruz.
This radiant man who joins us now, Stugotz, I'm going to tell you some of the backstory now. Big Hollywood Mike Schur helped end the strike and save all of creativity and all of the future for writers. He's been very busy, and our guest bookers, who can be annoying, have been looking for him for a long time. But he is one of these people who fears jinxes the same way you guys do. And so last night I heard from our guest bookers, and they're like, can you reach out to Mike Schur and make sure that he'll be on with us tomorrow if they win? And I'm like, you think I'm going to have to reach out to him if they win? And so what I wake up to this morning is a note from Mike Schur saying, I want to get up in the morning and just log on to your show and just listen and watch you guys, because he wants to listen to this show the way Mike Ryan was listening to Boston sports radio after big losses last season. And so now he joins us. Look at him smiling. He's got a lot of Hollywood things in the works, and he's had time for a June observations. He's got several top 5 lists. He is so ready to work today when we couldn't get a hold of you for weeks, Mike Schur.
I don't know what you're talking about. I make time all throughout every month to be here with you, and there were just some scheduling issues that came up that meant I couldn't be here as often, but it has nothing to do with the timing of the Celtics championship. It's just it happened to be that this morning I was free, and so I said I'd love to come by and hang out with the gang, you know?
And how many things have you prepared?
It's really just I've made some observations over the last month. So I have June observations. Within June observations, there is a top 5 list.
Wow.
But that's it? Because I was threatened with several top 5 lists, and I'm not saying that you're not doing enough. I'm just simply saying I want to get it right, and I want to know what to go to here.
I'm going to do June observations. Within June observations, there is one top 5 list. I showed a lot of restraint.
All right. Do you want to do it now, or do you need more than 5 minutes for this? Because we have about 4 seconds. We have 4 seconds for you to do all of this, and then we've got to go.
No, I need more time than that.
All right.
It's pretty long.
All right. We will do it next segment then, and I will ask you before we do it, how radiant are you because you have had what is clearly the best team in the sport all season?
Well, that was the thing. You know, this subject comes up a lot on this show of like whether the regular season matters and the way that the Heat in particular approach the regular season. The joy of this regular season is something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. Like, if you don't watch the regular season NBA, either because the guys who play for your team phone it in and don't care, or just because you don't tune in until the playoffs, you're missing the potential for like a wonderful journey. Like this team, the Celtics all year were so fun to watch. And from day one of this season, I got endless amounts of joy from just watching them play basketball. And I don't understand the mentality of not caring about the regular season as a fan. It's so much fun to follow a team, especially one this great, for the whole regular season. I'm sad that Jimmy Butler has deprived you and that market from caring about the regular season, because it's great. It's 6 months of joy.
You are a weirdo, though, in that generally, even if you have the greatest of teams, you are perpetually afraid of everybody. You showed no fear with this team all year.
That's the thing. That's the thing. That is the old mentality. Charlotte Wilder and I have been talking about this a lot. Is like the old mentality, the old like Boston doom and gloom was that you were miserable if they lost to the Suns in a game in November. That went away with this team. This is like the 2018 Red Sox that won 108 games and then blew through the playoffs and won the World Series. Like, they drove the fear out of me. I wasn't really scared at any point in the entire season until they lost Game 4 of the finals and got blown out. And then I started having like an old school Boston spiral of like, oh God, no team has ever been up 3-0 and lost a series. And now what if Derek Lively was like, we figured them out, is what he said after Game 4. And I was like, what if he's right? Meanwhile, he's a 20-year-old rookie. What does he know about anything? But I was like, what if they're right? And what if the Celtics lose? And before you can even have that thought, this team is so good, they're just up by 20 at halftime in Game 5 and they cruise to victory. And it's just so amazing, as doom and gloom as Boston fans can be, as any fans can be, that to not have that feeling at any point. I never thought really all the way to the finals that they were going to lose.
Yeah, It actually makes a lot of sense that the first time that you felt that was in the finals because it was the only series in which the team had their best player that you were playing on. So I imagine why those feelings only crept in for the final, because it wasn't like you had to fear Jimmy Butler or Halliburton or Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. Yes. I love. Keep going. Keep going. Please. Keep going.
No,
keep
done.
going. Just go. No. Go.
No, I'm done. I'm not going to give you this.
You're gonna love June observations, Mike.
Yeah.
Mike, did they get the Finals MVP right? I thought it should have went to Al Horford.
I mean, obviously, he should have gone to Horford. He should have been the Eastern Conference Finals MVP too. Should have been the regular season MVP, frankly.
Yep.
But I actually, no, this is not a joke. I think Tatum should have gotten it. He did not shoot well. He was only like 40% for the series, but 31, 8, and 11 in a clinching game. He averaged like an assist and a half more a game than Luka did, who everyone can't shut up about what a great passer he is. They ran the entire offense through him. Nearly every play in the clinching game was run through him, and he did an incredible job. He had 7 assists in a quarter, 8 assists in a quarter in game 2 or whatever it was, like most in Stockton, most in a finals game in 25 years. Like, it was not the gaudy scoring numbers that everybody wants from your finals MVP, but I'm fine with Jalen winning it. He played incredible defense. There was a mic'd up moment where he said to Mazzulla, if Luka stays in, keep me in. He guarded Luka incredibly well. He and Drew Holiday both guarded Luka incredibly well straight up. So I'm fine with it. The Jalen won the MVP, but I actually think that Tatum was the most important player in the series.
Mike, are the ghosts gone?
The ghosts of the Celtics?
The ghosts that just haunt Boston.
You and Simmons and you're always scared of all the sports ghosts.
Or ghosts, personal ghosts you seem to have in your house.
25-year run
It's been 5 very long years, Mike.
I'll say this. This is how unscared we were of this season. The famous Boston text thread that I've referenced many times on this show. Simmons renamed the thread Banner 18 like in January, and no one had a problem with it because we all were watching the team every day and being like, yeah, they're going to win the championship.
Should have been jinxed.
Yeah, but we didn't. But like, that's a thing that you don't do for fans of any sport would never say like, we're winning it all 6 months out. But we just did because we felt like it was going to happen. And we were right.
Mike,
so, yeah, I'd say the ghosts are gone, Billy.
Mike, there's one obvious blemish on the otherwise great season. Have you reconciled that the Celtics failed to win the in-season tournament?
No, you know what? I'll never get over that. That's gonna haunt me. That's gonna haunt me for the rest of my life.
It's a blemish. It's a blemish on the resume.
It really is. It's the one thing. The one thing that I lie in bed at night and rue.
And it went to the hated Lakers.
We're gonna Jerry West got to enjoy that, and he didn't have to suffer this nonsense at the end. We're gonna get to the June observations in a second, but I was trying to parse through the history of Boston poorly. I did it with Charlotte, and I'm gonna ask you the question a different way. Winning a championship in which sport matters not to you, Mike, to Boston the most today? Now, winning a championship today in which sport is the most important for the city of Boston? I know you're a baseball dork. I don't know if everyone has your sensibilities in Boston.
You know what's interesting is, the Patriots like spoiled everyone 6 times over. The Red Sox not only got over their schneid, but won 4 times. It had transferred. The answer to that is that it had transferred to the Celtics. This mattered more, I think, to the city because of how close Boston has gotten for 6 straight years. And the reason that those feelings crept in is because that anxiety had been transferred to the Celtics. And now, I don't know. I honestly don't know. We've won so many titles. It's an embarrassment of riches. My guess would be, and I don't know, maybe Roy or Mike could answer this. My guess would be that the anxiety is now going to transfer to the Bruins. That because the Bruins lost to the Panthers as the 1-8 a couple of years ago, and because they've been really good every year and have fallen way, way, way short of a cup in the last few years, my guess is that the city's going to care about the Bruins now. But I don't know. I mean, it's wild. Like my 16-year-old son is waking up in a world where his favorite teams have won like 10 championships in his lifetime. And it just doesn't make any sense. It's the antithesis of what we were all raised as and what we experienced. So I have no idea what the answer to that question is. I'm guessing it's the Bruins.
Mike and Roy are speechless. Let's do the June observations. It is a suffering. It's a horrible thing to hear. He just said it so matter of fact. My 16-year-old son.
All he knows is winning.
He doesn't even know.
All he knows is parades.
Yes, parades, right.
16 years, 10 parades or something. It's insane.
I mean, the Bruins is the second best team in that city now, so yeah, I guess it does fall on them.
I did ask the Kaseya Center to see if they could raise a banner saying the Bruins, when they went head-to-head against the Boston Celtics in the first round, outrated them locally.
The Bruins last won in 2011, so I think that's the team. The Red Sox won in 18,
my son was alive for that
enough
too.
with
He
your
doesn't
son.
remember.
The June observations.
5.5 long years.
He suffered so long before the first Bruins championship.
He had to see Tom Brady win one with the Bucks.
The floor is yours, Mike Schur.
June observations. Is there a beeping? I can't hear the
There
beeping
is a
because no one turned
beeping.
original sound
Can we
on.
turn on his original sound?
It
please?
is on.
Can you turn? I can't hear it, so this is gonna be we're gonna just flow here.
You're gonna
Roy.
feel like you're doing it a cappella, and it's just gonna
I
be
got it now.
Yeah,
Chris's
I
job.
mean, you only gave him spot for one. Maybe hold out for a larger
Here we go.
sample, my guy.
Start over, Mike. Yeah.
June observations is brought to you by all the products Jimmy Butler has been advertising during the NBA postseason. Michelob Ultra, Mountain Dew, Hotels.com, I think, Bad Boys 2, Carl Farnsworth Subaru off Route
Bad Boys
41
4.
in Gainesville.
It's Bad Boys 4.
Whatever.
And it was also Miller Lite. I saw it for sure.
Yeah.
Somebody really thought he was going to be playing deep into June, huh, Jimmy? Dan! A marquee franchise. Dripping in banners from years past. But they haven't been to the promised land in Mike Ryan's adult lifetime. But after a dominating performance on the biggest stage, Dan, just like that, make no mistake about it, the Edmonton Oilers are back.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Leon Draisaitl and them boys, huh?
I saw them win.
They look real good in Game 4. Strong on the forecheck, right, Roy? Mike Ryan is an adult. The Celtics won a title. So guess what, Mike? It happened in your adult lifetime.
Yeah.
Credit where credit is due. In the last few weeks, this show's basketball coverage has been excellent. Just as one example, in this postseason, in a story no one was talking about, some of the players on the teams the Celtics played were injured. And Meadowlark Media was on it.
That's right.
You guys covered the shit out of that story.
That's right.
For the first time in NBA history, some of the players were injured and missed games in the postseason. You deserve an award for the way you reported that story. It's the opposite of a Peabody. Here's another story you were all over. The Celtics' easy path to the finals. And honestly, I got to admit, you had a point. I mean, beating an 8 seed, a 4 seed, a 7, and then another 8 to win a title has to be the easiest path ever. Oh, sorry. That wasn't this year's Celtics. It was last year's Nuggets. And it's weird that I don't remember you ranting at all about that.
That's correct.
Al Horford.
Yeah.
Basketball Hall of Fame. Collision course.
Yes.
Perfect Al Horford lines, dude. Did you see his line?
It was so good.
No, what'd he say?
Plus 20.
9 points,
Yeah.
9 rebounds, 2 steals, plus 20 in 32 minutes.
I thought he had a quote after the game. The line, of course. That's all I looked at. I didn't watch the game.
He was looking for a quote. What did he say?
He took 6 shots, made 3, won a ring.
That's Al.
Jaylen Brown can now dribble with his left hand. Straight to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Derek White, send the broken tooth to the Hall of Fame. So it's ready for him when he's inducted. Jason Tatum. Oh, was he not scoring enough for you guys? You guys were very mad that he wasn't scoring more points. He's not being the man. I want him to be the man. I'm Dan Le Batard, and I'm Mike Ryan. I'm Jeremy Taché. We think Jason Tatum isn't good enough at basketball because he should be scoring more points because that's the right way to be good at basketball. That's what Jimmy Butler did. Jimmy Butler scored more points, and he's a man.
That's right.
Speaking of Jimmy Butler, top 5 guys who have more rings than Jimmy Butler.
Yes.
OLI, Peyton Pritchard. Svi Mikhailuk. Sam Hauser. Luke Cornett. Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah, that's right. 5 white guys. Hey, Stu, I just put Luke Cornett's rings in a box, and I put Jimmy Butler's rings in a box, and you'll never guess which box has more rings. It's Luke Cornett's box. Top 5 guys with more rings than Jimmy Butler. Number 5, future Hall of Famer Jason Tatum. Number 4, double postseason MVP Jaylen Brown. Number 3, Drew Holiday's corpse. Number 2, he's got that dog in him, guys. It's Derek White. And the number 1 guy who has more rings than Jimmy Butler, Al Horford.
Yeah. Mike Ryan has not smiled through the last 5 minutes
Not
of
liking
this.
it.
Joe Mazzulla wins a title at 35. 3 years ago, he was coaching the Portland, Maine Baby Lobsters 9U Kids Rec League All-Star team. And now he's an NBA champ. Jimmy Butler, do it in the finals. Coach Spo, do it without LeBron. Dan Le Batard, getting his revenge for these Heat jokes by telling the story about how someone once took a dump in Bill Russell's bed. Collision course.
I mean, that happened in Boston. A human being took a dump in a champion's bed. That's forever.
Collision course.
That's
Collision
forever.
course. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Collision course. Yeah. Here come the Mets.
Yeah.
Wow.
Grimace.
Celtics owner Wick Grousbeck called Lisa Salters Michelle. Hey, Wick. The Stugotz is strong in you.
Wick.
Amin Al-Hassan called Drew Holiday a corpse. Said the Celtics trading Marcus Smart and Grant Williams was risky because they had that dog in them. You know what the L in Amin Al-Hassan stands for, Dan?
Uh-oh. No.
It stands for L. As in take the L.
Yeah.
64-18 plus 11.5 points in the regular season. 16-3 in the playoffs plus 10.7 in the postseason. Do you know how good the Boston Celtics were this year, guys? They have a guy whose only job is to hit buzzer beater threes at the end of quarters, and he does it perfectly.
That was annoying.
Annoying?
I turned it
How
off.
dare
by
you?
then.
Keep an eye on the links. 1-4 in a row. Kayla McBride and Dem Girls. Nafisa Collier, low-key MVP campaign. UConn legend. Sorry, Charlotte Wilder. We did it. Finally, something goes right for Boston fans. Juju Gotti. We did it. Light the beam, Celtics in 3. I just want to say that after last night, the Miami Heat and all their fans and Heat culture and Jeremy Taché and Coach Spo and Bam Adebayo and the corpse of Kevin Love can all go to hell. And when they get there, say hello to Parakeet Cortez for me. And then tell Parakeet to say hello to Art Briles. Dan, those are the June observations.